Hi everyone, Morgie Roy here again. Today I just wanted to talk about some of my first TTRPG characters that I made. I started playing TTRPGs in my late 20s. D&D was the one I knew most about, but the one I actually started with was Blades in the Dark. So I've discussed Blades in the Dark before. It's like a game where you're part of a criminal gang in like a steampunky city that has some magic, but the magic's very wild, and there's ghosts, and it's always nighttime. It's a very cool setting that exists in Blades of the Dark. And my first D&D character was named Twitch. In Blades in the Dark, your characters have code names and real names because you're part of the gang, and she was kind of like a mad scientist type. I have some art here that I made in Picrew, and also some fan art that my friend did for me. Yeah, they like to experiment with different chemicals and made her own form of drugs because in Blades of the Dark, each character is supposed to have a vice that they do to relax after heists and missions. And her vice was that she both made and used drugs. Yeah, so she was kind of a strange mad scientist type that likes to mix drugs together. And she was very fun to play, very chaotic. And in Blades of the Dark, you have an NPC that your character is friends with and an NPC that your character is enemies with. So I had an NPC that she got a lot of her ingredients from for her making her mixtures, and she had an enemy NPC that was a kind of like a nun who saw the outcome of the people that she was testing her stuff on and was trying to stop her. So, and it's very cool because nobody in the Blades in the Dark setting is 100% a good person. Everybody has something going on. Everybody is doing something bad on the side. So even this nun person was like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. It's having an impact. She was like doing stuff on the side too that was also not so great. So it was very interesting to play this character. And unfortunately, as many campaigns do, that campaign did end without being resolved. But it was very fun to play her. I could also make different inventions. I made like a shocky glove, and I made a napalm material that she could throw on people. It was very fun to play her. The second character I played for a one-shot in a game called Dungeon World, which has a similar system to Blades in the Dark, where you roll d6s, but is more of a traditional fantasy setting like D&D. And in this one, I played a character named Nara, who was a bard. I've got a art here again of her, and that I made, again, Picrew. As I said in my other video, recommend Picrew for a lot of things. She was a family lady who traveled around as a traveling bard to make money and then went back home to a homestead where her husband took care of the kids. But at one point, her husband went missing. And part of her reason for joining in on the one-shot was that we were traveling to the city for her to try and find out what happened to her husband because he had gone missing and left the kids with a neighbor, and she was trying to find out what happened to him. So one of her goals was to try and find him. And yeah, it was just a one-shot to try out Dungeon World. It was very fun. And Nara did eventually find her husband, but he was cursed in some way. And then her goal became to try and find a way to cure him from the curse. Yeah, so just my second character again. Very new to TTRPG still at that point. So the next one was called Varsha, and it was in an Eberron campaign. Again, other video, talked about Eberron, how much I love it. Varsha was a storm cleric following the Eberron deity, the Devourer, who was, her whole thing was that she had followed the more traditional pantheon in Eberron when she was younger, and then she had been recruited into the war in Sire, and she had participated in the war and became some kind of a field medic in a crew of people, and then her hometown was absorbed by the Mourning, which is the area in Eberron in the middle of the war area where you can't go anymore. So her hometown was basically destroyed, and everybody that she knew there possibly dead or transformed by the Mourning. So she had a lot of like grief and guilt and all this stuff built up into that, and that caused her to change her religions to the Devourer, who she was trying to show people the way she viewed the Dark Six, which are the evil, with quotation marks, gods in Eberron, that they aren't actually evil, that all of the gods should be worshipped in the same way, just as parts of the world and parts of nature and parts of human nature, and they all should have their place and not some be considered good and some be considered evil. So that was her whole thing, was she was trying to spread that around, because the war had changed her views so much on what was considered good and evil. So she was very fun to play. She was a very deadpan character. She was kind of the foil for all the chaotic other members in our group. She was very strong. I made her like an attack cleric. So she could wear heavy armor. She was very strong, and she would go in and hit and then heal as needed. So I really liked playing her. And as many campaigns do, that campaign did eventually stop. But I loved playing her. As you can see, I did some art of her. I did a whole bunch of other art for her. I did some art of her religion, which I called the 9, the 6, and the 1, which I think is a religion in Eberron of these people who consider that the whole pantheon should be worshipped equally and not separated as the evil ones and the good ones. And yeah, so I had a whole thing about that and how there were other followers of this religion that she was trying to get in contact with and keep considering this rebellious religion and try and grow it. So that was my character Varsha. She is the one that I would probably bring back again in the future if I could, if she fits in a campaign somewhere. Very inspired by the female character who was voiced by Claudia Christian in Atlantis. That was definitely the vibe I was trying to give her. A very no nonsense, makes kind of like snide comments, but very actiony and strong. Yeah, so those were kind of my starting baby TTRPG. I say baby, I was in my late 20s, but my beginner TTRPG characters. And of all of them, Varsha is probably the one that I loved playing the most and would definitely go back to in the future. But I have a soft spot in my heart for all of them because I feel like you always have kind of that feeling about your first TTRPG characters. I've had so many characters since then, over 40, at least just D&D characters and of other TTRPGs. I've definitely played at least in the double digits, more than 10. Those 3 starter ones will always stay in my heart. Were the ones that really hooked me into TTRPGs and got me in love with the hobby. So I hope this encourages anyone to, even if you don't have a game right now, kind of start thinking about characters you might want to play, although most people I know, the character part is the easy part. Character creation is one of my favorite parts of playing a TTRPG, and then the relationships that the characters build with the rest of the party. Anyway, if you want to tell me what your first TTRPG characters are down in the comments, I would love to hear them. I love reading about other people's characters. I think it's so cool. But thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and check out my other videos. And yeah, I hope you're having a great day. If you're not having a great day, I hope your bad day is over with soon. Talk to you later. Bye bye.